Hi everyone, so welcome. So pretty much this whole video is just to explain how I feel that Yellow Vegeta is pretty good in Fusion World. I've been playing this deck multiple times and I've made multiple changes to this deck, but I strongly feel that Yellow Vegeta is probably the best Yellow has right now compared to Yellow Frieza. But besides that, I'll give you the details, and then if you guys want to know any changes I made recently or things that I plan to make changes about, I will definitely address them at the end of the video. Okay? Alright, so the first things first, the whole gimmick of Yellow Vegeta is that basically once he is awakened, you switch up to 2 of your rest mode energy to active, which is pretty good because that way you're able to defend yourself easily as well as also take control of the board. Like for instance, if Bulma's on the board, the 1-drop SR, and she's rested, if you do time rewound, you can give your other battle card 20k and then restand her and then use her activate battle effect in order for you to suspend the next battle card on the board as long as it's a 4-drop or less. So it definitely does help you, especially when it comes to limiting the amount of swings the opponent has towards you. It definitely has helped me, and it definitely frustrates the opponent because there's times the opponent does not know how to really deal with, you know, basically not being able to swing as multiple times as they like. But alright, let's go with it. So the first card is Bulma. Basically with her, I love this card, but at the same time I hate it. The only issue I have with this card is that if you draw her too early, she's kind of pointless. Like, I don't see the need for her in the beginning of the game. I usually just charge her, but I have been noticing lately every time I have the first one in my hand, if I charge her, I don't end up seeing the second one for some random reason. So I've been learning to just kind of hold on to her. But yeah, I used to have her at 4, but honestly, I just don't see the need for it. And her ability is activate main, switch this card to rest mode, and then you can add 1 yellow extra with a cost of 2 or less from your drop to your hand. So it definitely helps you adding all your extra cards, and all of the extra cards are basically 1. The only extra card that's more than that is the Final Explosion, which is a 3-drop. Okay, next one, Bulma. Obviously this is a SR. She's really good. Activate battle, switch it to rest mode, add a card from your life to your hand, then choose one of the effects. You can either choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 4 or less, switch to rest mode, or if you have rest mode battle card with a cost of 3 or more, draw a card. So she's just basically here just to either give you draw power on your turn, and you basically use time rewound to basically abuse this ability because it's activate battle, so it's either player's turn. Usually your opponent will aim to get rid of her immediately just because she is very annoying to deal with, especially if it's your turn. You're constantly getting that free draw, and then on their side they have to deal with, hey, Bulma's gonna suspend one of my battle cards. So most people do sometimes forget. Sometimes they'll usually swing with their leader and they'll leave their battle card in the active phase, which allows me to just suspend it, and now they're frustrated because they just realized they couldn't swing in extra time like they wished. Alright, and then Sorbet, basic cantrip, you know, on play, draw 1. There's not much explaining to it. Most of the time this deck does revolve, and I think multiple decks, is just drawing cards. Sometimes these cards come in clutch whenever you just want to combo 5k. But yeah, if I need to combo somebody, I'd rather combo Sorbet that's already on the board and I drew a card from it, rather than wasting one of the Bulmas for it. And then same thing again, Yamu, just more extensive drawing cards. I learned throughout this deck that after I made some changes, I just needed to keep drawing cards because there was so many times where I just had this Bulma 1-drop in my hand and I just couldn't do anything with it, especially in the beginning of the turn when you can't use your extra card as much as you wish you could. Every energy counts. I think it's not until you get to like your 4-3 energy slot that's when you actually start using your extra cards at your disposal. Alright, and then 1-drop Frieza. On play, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, switch to rest mode. Honestly, I haven't really used him like that. He's just basically here also just for combo power. It's been helpful. The only time I feel like I've ever had to use his ability It's probably like at the beginning of the turn if I really don't have a turn 1 play, um, just to get rid of their 1-drop body that they left. Or in further instances where, like, say I don't want to swing at the leader, I just use him just to suspend it, and I'll swing my leader towards their battle card. But other than that, I mean, he's just there to suspend something, but it's very rare that I will need to do that, honestly. Okay, and then we got the 2-drop Frieza. I know the artwork is very glossy, but, you know, deal with it. So when attacking, add up to 1 card from your lights to your hand, then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 3 or less, and switch to the rest mode. So this card is still pretty good in the deck. I've only used 2. He's just basically there to suspend whatever it is on board early on, that way I can just clear board. Besides that, that's just basically his job and role. People do get rid of him ASAP just because he is suspending their battle cards, and 3 drops or less are very viable in the beginning, and I feel like that's just the thing about it, is just people want to get rid of it ASAP, and they just don't find a way to deal with this annoying effect of suspending things over and over. And then Mr. Boo. So Mr. Boo over here, he has his effect of barrier. Barrier is like a very strong mechanic in this game right now, just because nothing answers to barrier. Barrier's ability is this card can't be chosen by the skills of your opponent's cards. So in other words, you can't bottom deck it, you can't Zeno him, you can't minus DP him, you literally can't do anything about it just because you can't target it. So I've had moments where I've had 3 of him on board, and he literally just does so much work. And then if people try to even overpower it with combo power, say like they're swinging at it and they're shooting for maybe like 50k, 40k, 30k, I honestly sometimes, if I really want to, I just let him die. Because his ability, when KO, discard 1 card from hand, play this card for you, drop in rest mode. It's not a once per turn effect, so you can literally abuse this over and over and over. There's no limitations of how annoying Mr. Boo can be. And then we got 3-drop Vegeta. So 3-drop Vegeta is the SR. He's really good. He's really good against black and I'd say red. The only problem with red that can get around it is that obviously red can minus DP. It's not the same way as being KO'd, but they do mostly have a lot of cards that KO your cards. So with Vegeta 3-drop, opponent's turn, all your rest mode battle cards can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. So no 3-drop Goku that's red that says KO a battle card with a certain amount of DP. There's no Beerus wipe out your whole board. No Broly, no androids. They basically do not get to use their effects. But the catch is that the cards have to be in rest mode. But if they take out Vegeta, they basically are allowed to knock out everybody else with abilities again. The only issue that cannot get around this is blue. Blue just bottom decks. And most of the time when that happens, I just choose to charge him just because I don't see the point of me having him on board anymore. I mean, it's great. He can play a 1-drop. But I mean, you've seen the 1-drops. The 1-drops are basically just the Bulmas and the cantrips. I mean, it's very rare I'm going to drop a Frieza with him. There's no point. But yeah, if I do drop him, it's going to be with either Bulma or I'm going to drop the cantrip with him. And then he is Self-Awakener, so he does grab a life. Okay. And then the next card, this is probably one of my favorite cards of the deck, Imagine Vegeta. He is a 4-drop, unfortunately, but his effects is extremely powerful. His ability is activate main once per turn. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, and if it's a 3 or less, you KO it, and he gets to restand. So also too, you don't have to KO a card in order for him to restand. He just automatically does it on his own. So that's one of the best gimmicks I've got with him. Basically, think of it like in Masters with double attack. That is something he gets to do. He gets to attack twice. He gets to restand after the first one, and then if you do notice that the opponent has swung already with battle cards that are 3-drops or less, you basically KO it. I've used him so much to KO Vegetos, KO Gohans, KO Kid GT Goku 3-drop, and it's just great, honestly. And This is like one of the cards that I always try to save on my board just because it's 2 swings, and not to mention he gets rid of something on the board and he's 25k. Alright, and this is another MVP of the deck too, Son Goku 4-drop. He has the on play and when attacking, choose up to one of your opponent's rest mode battle cards, and it can't switch to active mode during the opponent's next turn. So basically I feel like he replaced what Cooler could have been. Cooler was really strong in the 4-drop, but in this case, Goku just literally says like, no, you're not going to unsuspend until I allow it. Which when he drops, usually if the opponent has 2 battle cards and I don't have a way to get rid of them both, I'll use Son Goku to pretty much stun both of them, and I just won't even touch their battle cards because there's just no point. It helps me with resources, and it helps me have my opponent try and focus on getting rid of him more rather than hitting me instead. One of the things that I do like to do a lot, say for instance the opponent has 2 battle cards, right? Say it's for black color base, let's say it's SS4 GT Goku and then SS3 GT Kid Goku. They're both rested. Obviously I can only KO one with Vegeta, and with that I can assure that I'll get rid of one of them. But the downside is GT Goku still gets to swing at me next turn. So what I normally do is I'll drop the Goku first, stun 2 bodies, and then assure myself that they're gonna try and waste resources to get rid of the Goku first, and if I can save him enough with everything, which I usually do, I'll drop the Vegeta next, and the Vegeta will be the one to get rid of the 3 drops or anything that's 25k or more. Just essentially just because the leader only swings 20k, so my leader will only swing at the lower cost, but Vegeta will swing at the 25ks. And then Goku will be the one to stun the higher bodies that are 30k or higher, or 4 or 5 drops that obviously Imagine Vegeta can't get rid of. And then I do not use the 5-drop Frieza Double Striker. He is good, but I found that I just never need that. I found that just using Frieza has been very like, it's just too good, you know, like the fact that I get to drop this KO a battle card, and now they're like, okay, I need to get rid of this Frieza because any of my 5 drops and higher are no longer going to be able to help me out. They all just come in rested. I think the only issue is probably just this card getting KO'd immediately after you play him. Like when it comes to red, if the only time I've ever seen him get KO'd by red is when they're playing Beerus, because Beerus will -10 and then they'll just Rumshi and KO him. Besides that, blue, they have to play a Mai, lower the battle card cost, and then from there Vegito, but then they just send it back to the hand. But Vegito comes rested, and then he's able to resend if they have 7 or less. So, but I mean, it does tend to stall, so it does help. What else? Green. I'd say green is probably the most annoying one because they could just drop Broly and KO him, and that's the downside. But at least you don't have to deal with Broly restanding or just hitting you twice as hard. So sometimes with green, you kind of just want to wait it out and just see if they are going to drop Broly. But I mean, if you want to just drop it out on them and feel like it's going to be beneficial to you at 6 energy, I usually do it as soon as I hit 6 energy just because it's a really strong card. It's 40k. The opponent's not going to get rid of this. And then if you have your 3-drop Vegeta as well, your Frieza is not going to get KO'd by any means necessary. And then blue doesn't even have a way to bottom deck it or anything, unless they play the option, the 3-drop option that bottom decks it. But besides that, that's pretty much it. Nothing else. And then obviously super combo is just a general staple for every deck. This one runs Jocko. I like Jocko, and that is why I chose him as my super combo. And then here we are. I'm just gonna show these off. So these are the extra cards. I chose to go with the 4-4-2-3 split. I feel like that's pretty good in every aspect. Like, I haven't seen the need to change it. I did used to run energy absorption at 1, but I've changed cards in and out, and then Final Explosion being at 4 wasn't too helpful because I just saw it too many times. So I think 3 is very perfect at this point. But yes, Time Rewound, I'll show you guys. Basically, it's an activate battle during the opponent's turn only, so you can't use this on your turn. Choose one of your leader or one of your battle cards, and it gets 20k power for the battle. Then choose up to one of your battle cards and switch it to active mode. So like I said, I mean, sometimes I've had moments where they'll swing at this Vegeta and they're trying to KO him, but I do have the one drop SR Bulma, and so I just basically use Time Rewound, use it to buff my Vegeta 20k, and then from there I restand Bulma, and then Bulma's ability activate battle. Either choose one of my opponent's 4 drop or less and switch it to rest, or I just draw another card. So it's definitely been helpful just because it's either free draw power or it's just free stunning bodies in a sense of like you're suspending them. And also too, I mean it's 20k power. It's basically another super combo. Like there's been times where if I don't want to use my energy early on and I don't want to use my extra cards, I just use a super combo just because it's like it's the same thing. It's not that bad. It's just that this is free to use from my hand compared to this, which is going to be only on my opponent's turn. And then we have Death Ball. Death Ball, I've grown to love this card really well, just because when you activate it, it gives you 15k power for the battle, and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 3 or less and switch it to rest mode. So just the same way like with Bulma, there's been times where people will leave a 3 drop or less body on their board, but they decided to swing with their leader first. And when that happens, say they're swinging at Bulma or they're swinging at Vegeta or in any of my 4 drops, I just play Death Ball, give them that 15k power, which they're going to be strong enough to survive, and then just suspend the 3 drop or less that they have on board that they were going to swing at me with. So it's like it didn't even do anything, and then they get more frustrated because now they're like, oh man, I didn't even stop to realize that, hey, I could have just got rid of it. I could have swung with my other body compared to swinging with my leader first. So it's definitely been very good. And then we got Energy Absorption. Energy Absorption is really good just because it allows you to pretty much choose one of the opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode. With that, I've learned to, well, sorry, it doesn't stay rest mode, it just can't switch to active mode during the opponent's turn. So, no, yeah, I am wrong. It does stay in rest mode, actually. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, let me just make sure. Okay. So, pretty much you stun the card. It's basically another mini Goku. Except in this case, obviously, it's not a battle card. You can't swing with it. You can't DP with it. But anytime that they have like 4 or higher, and I just don't want to use this Goku early on, or I just don't have him, I play Final Absorption just because I want that body not to swing at me. So it gets stunned, and then I do get to draw a card if it's a 4 drop or higher. So it has been super helpful in that case. But if I get it early on, I just charge it just because I can't really use it to its full benefit when I normally get it. And then of course Final Explosion at 3. This card is very, very good. I mean, it just blows up so many bodies on the opponent's side of the board. If you're playing against the black color base, you just knock out all the GT Gokus, the secret rarity. You knock out, for red, it could be knocking out 2 Jirens, but you have to play them back to back to guarantee that they're both gone. That's the unfortunate part. So I do hold it whenever there's like I'm facing a Jiren. I do need to make sure I have 2 of these. And then there's blue. I mean, blue has so many 3 drops or less. At times, I mean, the Gohan's is the only 4 drop that I'm aware of that people really use, but besides that, that works too. Green, you don't really use this against green. It's pretty much just charge fodder. It doesn't benefit you. Just the same way like when I charge Vegeta when it comes to the blue matchup, I just charge him just because blue can get around KOs. They don't KO your body, they just bottom deck everything. And so the same way with Final Explosion, like you just gotta know your matchups. Like when it comes to green, I charge Final Explosion. There's no need for me to use it. I just use Death Ball in a sense of like giving myself DP or just defending myself, knowing full well that I'm not going to be able to stun anything or suspend anything on their side. What else? Yeah, there's times where like I will pick and choose some cards, and I will be like, no, this card's not gonna help me at all in the long run. I just need a charger just because I need charge fodder. Alright then, so that's pretty much the deck. I'll go over some rundowns with like some deck matchups or what I plan to do every time I play. So in the beginning, like I said, I for some reason always draw her in the beginning. I don't know why. She's just kind of stuck to me like glue. Almost really good because I mean she gets to add one yellow extra card with a cost of 2 or less, which means you have access to all 3 of your extra cards. Time Rewound, Rebound, Death Ball, and Energy Absorption. You cannot get Final Explosion, that is the only downside, but I mean, overall, you're just constantly getting these over and over. So there's been times where, like, say, turn 3, I used one earlier, and I already had my leader awakened because they kept swinging at me. I'll play this Vegeta, play out this Bulma suspends. I grab one of the extra cards that I just recently used, and then next once I pass turn, reset 2 energy, they try and swing at this Bulma usually, or if they don't, then I mean, it just means I get to use these for free, and I just keep getting them back over and over. There's been times where like I've literally grabbed Time Rebound, Rewound, or Death Ball like 3 times back to back, just because it's like they're not doing anything about it. I've also learned that this Bulma, sometimes if I draw her too early, I just charge her because she's good, but overall, like, she's kind of. I feel like she's marked towards the mid to late game, just like her other version. They're just mid to late game pieces that you kind of would use. The beginning, I always try and mulligan for cantrips. I try and mulligan for at least if I'm facing the blue matchup, I try and mulligan to see if I can get a Majin Buu. Because once I get this guy, I just try and play him because I know that they're not going to be able to get rid of him. And then if I'm playing against black, I try and mulligan for the Vegeta just because I know they have 10 times Kamehameha. And literally, I mean, the whole top row is what can be KO'd with it. And I rather they just not KO my battle cards in general because I want to keep that pressure applying. When it comes to red, honestly, red, it's good to have this Vegeta, but he will get knocked out just because of minus DP stuff. But overall, these two, Majin Vegeta and Blue Goku, they are literally the MVP of this deck. Like, these two literally are the reason, like, the opponent cannot do much. They clear board, they stun board. These two are, like, the best. And then, obviously, the Bulma, this one, I love her just because she grabs the extra cards. And then we have this Bulma, which tends to just help us in the long run. But majority of the time, my board is usually a Frieza, 2-drop, Majin Buu, or Vegeta, and then either one of the Bulmas along with Majin Vegeta or Blue Goku. And then I'll just try and play Golden Frieza as soon as possible. And there have been times where, say, I'm at 6 energy and I don't play Golden Frieza, I will literally probably just play either like 2 Majin Buus or a Majin Buu with a Vegeta, and then I still get to play one of the Bulmas. Basically, what you want is that you want to avoid drawing your extra cards early on in the game. If you draw Energy Absorption in the beginning, that's perfectly fine. You can still charge it. It's not a big deal. But definitely try and mulligan to get at least a starting play. Either you want to get your cantrips, or you want this 2-drop Frieza, or if you're facing blue, get this Majin Buu. If you're facing black, get this Vegeta. And then eventually you'll get everything else naturally. There's no way that you're not going to see them. Like, I've been making changes to the point where I feel like it's pretty solid to where it's at. I think the only change I'm tempted to make is dropping Majin Buu to 2. Just because I don't really play him as much as I would like to. The issue is he is 3, and that kind of wastes a lot of your energy. But I mean, once you get to like mid to late game, they just kind of ignore Majin Buu and they don't even hit it anymore. They try and knock it out early on, just because they know that you're gonna waste card resources to protect it. I mean, besides that, I've been really enjoying the deck. I don't have any really issues when it comes to my matchups. The only matchup I say that Yellow Vegeta struggles against is Jiren, just because Jiren does have the whole mechanic of can't be KO'd his 4 drop, and he just draws and recovers. So that is kind of annoying. I've dealt with it. Like I can stun him, I can try and KO him, but overall, like 2 final explosions is like the best way. So if I ever face the red matchup, I feel like my first thing to do is try and mulligan for 1 final explosion. That way I can just hope to draw the second one and then just go from there. And then once I get to 6 energy, just KO both of them, just because at least I'll get rid of them. But besides that, like they'll literally, I think I've had a match where they had 2 of them. They were never swinging at me, but they were always rested, and it's like I can't do anything in that moment. Like there's no way for me to stop them from drawing, no way for me to stop them from getting hit. The only people that can swing are these 2, and they're just drawing their whole deck, and they're just gonna grab every piece that they need, and it just makes it harder because once at that point, they just Rumshi, just KO anything. They just play Fua -15. It just gets to the point where like there's nothing you can do about it anymore. So that is a time where you just like automatically lose. But besides that, green, you do have a good chance against green, just because even though they can play Broly or the androids, yeah, they do bring out a bunch of bodies, or big high cost bodies, and do a lot of damage to you. There's a lot of ways for you to go around it. Like I said, super combo, Whis time rewound is basically another super combo. Death Ball is kind of like one, but you just are missing the extra 5k, but I mean you got plenty of 5ks to use. Energy absorption just to stun and stall even more. And then you got charge fodder, final explosion. You don't ever use it on green, ever. I think the only time I've ever had to use this card is against some green cell, just because I knew by turn 3 they were trying to ramp up with a bunch of 1-drop bodies with their extra card. But besides that, that's pretty much it. I do love this deck. It's been very good to me. So hopefully if you guys are playing at regionals or locals, Yellow Vegeta is something you might want to try. It's definitely pilot dependent. It's not pick up and you're gonna automatically do really well. You do have to practice, and you do have to learn to be patient, and you have to, in a way, in a sense, it's kind of like chess. You got to know when to drop certain bodies and when, and try and predict your opponent's next plays. But other than that, I mean, it's a really good deck. I like it, and overall, this is like one of my favorite decks right now. I like this one. I like Black Bardock. Obviously, he's my favorite character, so I love the deck. But overall, I think Yellow Vegeta is one of the underestimated decks out there, just because people don't really know how to play this deck, and they just don't see it coming, practically to the point where they may not even hit you once. But overall, I'm very happy that I got to play this deck, and hopefully you guys learn to play this deck out too and enjoy it. But other than that, let me know if there's any more strategies, any plays that you guys like to see. I'm planning to make videos with the client. I do have all these cards, everything in there, and I do play on it. Not as much as I would like to, but definitely if I feel like everybody watches this video wants to watch more and they want to see gameplay videos to see how it is, then by all means, just let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, and hopefully this definitely helped you guys out. See ya.